Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. Three names that continue to dominate Greek mythology thousands of years after they were first spoken. Each ruled over a different realm: the sky, the sea, and the underworld. These domains may sound clear-cut, but power in mythology was never so easily measured. Was power determined by raw force? By influence over humanity? By control of fate itself? Ancient stories hint at rivalries, betrayals, and shifting hierarchies among the gods. Some gods appeared to bow under Zeus's thunderbolts, while others seemed to wield an authority beyond his reach. So who was truly the most powerful Greek god? Greek mythology took shape during the early centuries of Greek civilization, with myths recorded as early as the 8th century BC in the works of Homer and Hesiod. To the ancient Greeks, the gods were not abstract symbols, but living forces, attributed to natural elements and events. Each god claimed mastery over a specific domain. Zeus ruled the sky, Poseidon the sea, Hades the underworld, and a host of others governed war, love, wisdom, and harvest. These divine figures were believed to interact with mortals, shaping destinies, and punishing those who showed arrogance. Their stories served to explain the workings of the natural world and to caution against human pride. Zeus was traditionally viewed as the ruler of Olympus, the highest authority among gods and mortals alike. He wielded the thunderbolt, a weapon said to embody the fury of storms. Ancient poets described him as a deity whose judgment could not be overturned. His role as arbiter of law and order reinforced his dominion, and temples dedicated to him stood across the Greek world. However, despite this status, stories also portrayed Zeus as fallible, vulnerable to trickery, and dependent on the complicity of other gods. His authority was great, but was it absolute? Poseidon, brother of Zeus, commanded the seas, earthquakes, and even horses. The Greeks depended heavily on the Mediterranean for food, trade, and travel, which made Poseidon's influence immediate and tangible. A storm at sea could end the prosperity of a city-state, while calm waters could guide merchants safely to new markets. Some myths portrayed Poseidon as defiant toward Zeus, challenging his commands and pursuing his own ambitions. His destructive powers carried an unpredictability that instilled fear even among fellow gods. For many ancient Greeks, his domain of shifting tides may have seemed just as powerful, if not more so, than Zeus's skies. While often overlooked in Olympian-centered myths, Hades held dominion over the underworld, the place to which every soul inevitably traveled. Unlike Zeus and Poseidon, Hades rarely interfered directly in human affairs, yet his power was fundamental: death itself. Ancient Greeks believed no one could resist his rule, not even the gods. To them, Hades represented inevitability and permanence. His realm gave him control over a truth that even Zeus could not escape. While he lacked the reverence of a kingly figure, his quiet and inexorable authority could be considered the most pervasive among them all. Athena, goddess of wisdom and strategy, represented a very different kind of power: intellect and foresight. She was often portrayed as a guide for heroes, appearing in myths to provide counsel rather than brute force. For Athenians in particular, her influence was immense, with the Parthenon built in her honor as a symbol of civic identity. Unlike the chaotic strength of Zeus or Poseidon, Athena's power lay in shaping decisions that could change the course of wars, politics, and human achievement. Some historians suggest that her prominence in rationality and governance symbolized an influence that rivaled those who wielded weapons. Hera, queen of the gods and wife of Zeus, embodies the political complexities of divine hierarchy. She ruled as goddess of marriage and protector of family and women, roles central in Greek society. Yet many myths describe her as cunning and vengeful, often undermining Zeus himself. Her authority was not marked by thunderbolts, but by persistence and manipulation. In this sense, her influence revealed another dimension of power, not dominance through strength, but endurance through strategy, alliances, and the enforcement of societal order. While much of mythology revolves around the Olympian gods, the figure of the Moirai, the Fates, suggests that even the gods were not the final authority. These three sisters measured, allotted, and cut the thread of life for every being, divine or mortal. Myths describe Zeus himself bowing to their decrees, unable to alter the destiny they had fixed. This raises the possibility that the greatest power in Greek mythology was not in the hands of any Olympian, but in forces that transcended them. The myths are filled with episodes where the gods contended with one another, revealing the shifting dynamics of power. During the Trojan War, for example, Athena, Aphrodite, Hera, and other deities took sides, swaying the fate of mortals and demonstrating their influence. In other stories, Poseidon openly defied Zeus by flooding lands that resisted him, while Hades rarely succumbed to the demands of his brothers. These rivalries highlight that power in Greek mythology was contested territory, never fixed in one figure alone. Today, historians debate the meaning of divine power in Greek mythology. Some argue that Zeus's symbolic role as king reflects human political structures projected onto the heavens. Others point out that myths show gods repeatedly constrained by destiny, nature, or their own flaws, suggesting that Greek religion emphasized balance rather than supremacy. Archaeological discoveries, such as the remains of temples dedicated to Athena or Poseidon, also show how different city-states elevated one deity above others, reflecting local priorities more than a universal hierarchy. When comparing the gods, their domains reveal how power was perceived. Zeus's thunderbolts symbolized authority, Poseidon's storms embodied natural might, Hades' underworld represented inevitability, Athena's wisdom guided civilization, and the fates determined destiny itself. None of these aspects could fully eclipse the others. Instead, the pantheon presented a spectrum of power, each god embodying a principle that humanity could both revere and fear. The question of supremacy may have been less important to the Greeks than recognizing the interdependence of these forces. The search for the most powerful Greek god does not yield a single, simple answer. Zeus may have been crowned king of Olympus, Poseidon and Hades commanded realms he could not touch. Athena guided strategies that outlasted storms, Hera ensured that social order endured, and the fates stood beyond even divine control. What the myths reveal is not the dominance of one figure, but the ancient Greek understanding of power as fragmented, contested, and shared among many forces. And in this complexity, perhaps, lies the true power of their mythology, the recognition that no single force rules all, but that balance and rivalry together shaped the ancient imagination.